well. Is Oregon AFSCME in the house this morning? You can do better than that. Is Oregon AFSCME in this house this morning? I'll tell you, I just want to thank Lillian and Cam for that kind introduction. We had a little meeting before coming here into this room with a number of your younger members who are so involved and so committed to this union, so involved and so committed to having a strong labor movement, not only in Oregon, but across the country. And I sat with them for, I guess, almost an hour, and we shared our knowledge together. Let me tell you something, I've been around for a long time. Doesn't look like it, right? But I've been around for a long time. And you can still learn, and I still learn, from what our young members and potential members have to say, because they are our future, and we can never forget that, and we have got to embrace them and embrace their ideas so we can be stronger and more powerful. Isn't that right, AFSCME Oregon? So I enjoyed this morning enormously. Well, let's see, the last time that I was here, we were protesting and rallying at OHSU for a fair contract. That was in 2019. Was that 2009? We had a ball that day. I had a great time. But we're all back together. That was a theme of our national union. Back together. We have overcome the pandemic. We have overcome challenges, but we are back together. Oregon AFSCME is here in the house, and you are fighting every single day for the rights of our union and our members in this state. Give yourselves a round of applause for what you do. I want to give a shout out to a number of folks who I work with, who are leaders in Oregon. First person I want to introduce, and I just found this out to tell you the truth, but he's a homeboy. We're both from Ohio. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, a long, long time ago. And he was born in Youngstown, not as long as I was. But Fred Youngblue is your president, he is your leader, and you know, great people come from Ohio. Did you know that? You from Ohio too? What part? What part? Okay, great people come from Ohio. So I am so happy that he is here helping to lead this great union. You can't go wrong with somebody from Ohio, okay? Give him a round of applause for what he does every single day. I also want to give a shout out, and this is really a special shout out, to someone I consider to be a good friend. We talk a lot. Sometimes, most times we agree, other times we may disagree, but we always are doing it to strengthen our union. She's your executive director, but she is also an important piece of our international executive boards where she provides her knowledge. And her commitment and her dedication shows every single day, not only for the members in the state of Oregon, but for the members that we serve, the 1.4 million members that we serve across the country. I value her friendship. I value what she does and the ideas that she puts forth every single day, and that's your executive director, Stacey Chamberlain. Give her a round of applause for what she does. All right. Now, this is a big deal. I mean, you know, when you have a convention, you have folks from other parts of the country coming here to see how Oregon AFSCME rolls every single day. So we've got some special guests in the house. From Washington State, President of Council 28 and International Vice President, Mike Yastrzemski. Where's Mike? There's Mike back there. Hey, Mike. We have the President of Washington Council 2, Michael Rainey, is in the house. I was talking to Mike a little earlier. Just got back from a cruise, so he's nice and relaxed and rested and ready to get back in battle. We have from Alaska, ASCA President Dawn Bundick and Executive Director Heidi Dragas. They are in the house. So this, I mean, you know, you're bringing power. You're bringing power to Oregon. They want to be with all of you. See what you're doing. See how are there any children in the room? Any kids? See how you're kicking ass and taking names. That's what you do every single day. Okay? You know, before I go any further, I want to express my condolences for the loss of our brother Joseph Johnson, who was shot in the line of duty as a reserve officer with the Nissa Police Department 2 weeks ago. JJ represented the very best that public service had to offer. He worked for several years at Snake River Correctional Institute, where his commitment to public safety was second to none. But he wanted to find still more ways to serve. Seeing the struggles of both his fellow COs and those in custody, he got certified as a mental health professional and a behavioral health counselor. He had a fun-loving side, too. At his funeral, the chief of police called JJ a goofball with a master's degree. He was a friend. He was a brother. He was a part of this AFSCME family. I think we should have a moment of silence for what he did and his commitment and dedication to this union. You know, I didn't have the privilege of knowing JJ, but I know so many people like him here in Oregon and across this country. Exceptional people of humility and integrity, people who live their values, people who spend a lifetime doing for others, people who consider public service to be the highest calling there is. I had the privilege of sitting down with some of those people earlier this morning. A group of young Oregon AFSCME siblings whose passion for equity and justice is palpable, whose commitment to their union is unwavering. I felt it. I heard it this morning. I've got to tell you, with these folks leading the way, I've got nothing but hope and optimism for our future. Give them a round of applause for their commitment and the work that they do. I have hope. I have optimism because every single one of you is determined. You're determined to raise your collective voice and build power. Build power together, growing and strengthening your union. That starts with organizing. Organizing, make no mistake about it, is the lifeblood of our union. And you have succeeded in building a culture that puts organizing front and center. You have done that. You've shown an enduring commitment to AFSCME's strong principles, to the one-on-one engagement that has been the cornerstone, the absolute cornerstone of our work for close to a decade now. Having conversations with folks, looking them in the eye and building rapport, listening to what they have to say, asking them to commit to the fight. That's how we turn potential members into active members. Having those communications, those one-on-one communications with them. Not one time, but all the time. Now, we all know how much harder this was during the pandemic. But with COVID restrictions being lifted, we can now resume this work. All of us must resume this work. That even includes me. Having those conversations, having the conversations that I had this morning with the young people, going across the country, listening to what our members have to say. I know that your return to an in-person AFSCME Strong Week of Action a few months ago was just what the doctor ordered. Making those connections, once again, coming together and reconnecting, blitzing, and building solidarity, hitting the doors and signing up 144 members across the state. You did that, AFSCME Oregon. Continue to do that good work. Congratulations on that successful event. But I challenge you. I challenge all of you to continue leaning into this work, especially new employee outreach. The best time to reach public service workers is right as they're coming in the door. You've got to catch them there. You've got to talk to them. Got to get to know them. We can't let new hires go several months without hearing from us. From the jump, they need to understand the union difference. And who best to tell them and talk to them about the union difference than you? And this can't just be a one-and-done contact. Successful NEO work requires constant follow-up and ongoing conversation. You know, being AFSCME Strong means prioritizing external organizing as well. And you are doing that, AFSCME Oregon. I want to congratulate you on adding, and get this, 800 new members over the last 2 years. That's AFSCME Oregon in action. That includes 375 state medical interpreters who have used their union voice to get a retention bonus of $1,200 and rule changes leading to higher pay. That is AFSCME Oregon in action. You know, around the country, AFSCME has huge organizing momentum in the cultural sector, where a young, diverse, dynamic workforce is flexing their muscles. From New York to the Pacific Northwest, workers at museums, libraries, and zoos, and aquariums are climbing aboard the green mean machine in huge numbers, choosing us as the union that can best represent them and represent their interests, and yes, stand up to the boss. Oregon AFSCME is getting into the act on cultural worker organizing with a big win at Hillsborough Public Library. Anybody in the house from Hillsborough? You had a big win there, where workers mobilized to secure a strong first contract that includes, get this, 9.5% raises in addition to bilingual pay, frontline recognition pay, and more. Better pay, more power, greater respect. That is the union difference. You continue to be a huge presence at Oregon Health and Science University. Now, I'm sure there's somebody in the house from OHSU, right? Make some noise. Make some noise. I love being with you in 2019. I had a lot of fun then. Hitting the streets and joining that informational picket line. Made some noise demanding that management stop putting profits over patients. And sure enough, That direct action forced them back to the table until you got the contract you deserved. Because when we fight, AFSCME Oregon wins. Isn't that right? When you stand up and make your voices heard, AFSCME Oregon wins. When you raise some hell, AFSCME Oregon wins. This is, I mean, you're amazing to me, the work that you do every single day. And Stacy makes sure that the entire union knows about the work that you do, okay? Which is a good thing. You know, when last year when the next contract negotiations rolled around, management was up to their same old tricks at OHSU. This time, OHSU workers had an even more compelling case. You had been through the hardships of the pandemic, doing courageous and life-saving work on the front lines despite chronic staffing shortages. I'll get that right. Meantime, OHSU was spending, get this, $1 billion on new construction projects instead of investing in its workforce. That's a bad thing, right? So you did what you do best. You organized and you mobilized. We even issued a call to action at AFSCME's International Convention last summer, asking delegates from around the country to call or text OHSU's Chief Financial Officer. They got sick and tired of hearing from us. Said, what in the world is happening here? Eventually, we even took a strike vote, show them that you meant business. But at the end of the day, after 7 months of bargaining, you got it done. A 3-year deal with a total of 17% in raises, as well as new diversity, equity, and inclusion provisions that protect against sexual harassment and workplace bullying. Because when you fight, AFSCME Oregon wins. And when we fight, we grow. This contract campaign allowed Local 328 to sign up hundreds of new members, plus it helped inspire research assistants and postdoctoral workers, almost 2,000 folks combined, to start organizing. You heard about it with AFSCME Oregon. Everyone who works at OHSU deserves the security of a strong union. And I guarantee it because I know you. They are going to get it because of your commitment and what you do and the commitment that you show every single day. You know, we talked about the meeting that I had earlier with the young members. We talked about behavioral health organizing. It's never been more important for workers in this sector to have a union voice. The nation is facing a dire mental health crisis, one that has grown worse as so many people have struggled and suffered through the pandemic. By continuing to build density in this sector across the country, you are not just improving the lives of essential workers, you are improving services for people making major life changes, facing major life changes. The Labor Peace Ordinance in Multnomah County has been critical to encouraging behavioral health organizing and stabilizing behavioral health workplaces. The labor harmony concept is real simple. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand it. If you're a private sector provider benefiting from government contracts, you've got to let workers form unions without interference, without intimidation. Full stop, no questions asked. No questions asked. Non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. You know, I also want to commend you on the innovation of the United We Heal Trust, bringing behavioral health employers and workers together to improve training and advancement programs. Truth is, we need to scale up these kinds of efforts, not only here in this state, but across the country, because not enough people are pursuing public service careers. They don't see enough growth and professional development opportunities. But they do see a hiring process mired in red tape. And they do see budget cuts that make it for low pay and shabby working conditions. They see it and they feel it. They know about it. It's personal. So I believe we need to do more to attract talented people to public service jobs of all kinds. That's why your national union has recently launched Staff the Front Lines, and Stacy serves on a special committee to take a look at this very serious problem, not only in Oregon, but across the country. 500,000 public service jobs are unfilled. Those 500,000 jobs, a lot of them could be AFSCME members performing essential public service and public work across our communities every single day. This shortfall, it's actually compromising the work that you do and wrecking the people who remain in public service. You know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are facing overtime, who don't get home as often as you were to see your families, to take care of personal business, especially those working in 24-hour facilities. You're being asked to handle unmanageable caseloads, working inhumane hours under absolutely deplorable conditions. You know what I'm talking about. Corrections officers here in Oregon and around the country are buckling. They are literally buckling under the weight of this burden. Look at what Christina Seidenstricker Brown is going through. Christina is a member of Local 1246, takes care of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in group homes, feeding them, dressing them, taking them to medical appointments. She does a lot more. She takes pride in her work, but last year she averaged 35 hours a week of overtime. She barely sees her kids, leaving the house at 6 a.m. and not getting home till 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. Christina and her coworkers are being pushed to the breaking point. Make no mistake about it. Extreme fatigue, extreme burnout, sometimes leading to family strife and mental health issues. Now, this job is dangerous under any circumstance, but staffing shortages increase the risk of workplace violence and injury. I want to be real clear about this, and we need to yell it from the top of our voices. This is no way. This is absolutely no way to treat the everyday heroes of Oregon AFSCME. And your union is going to do something about it. Period. Period. For Christina and for the many others like her in Oregon and around the country who sacrifice every single day, who deserve respect for the resilience they show every single day, it is time to staff the front lines. And we will not rest until we solve this problem in Oregon and across the country. That is a commitment that you have from the president of the greatest damn union on the face of the earth, and that's AFSCME. Now, here in Oregon, you've got a favorable political climate on your side as we navigate all of these challenges. You've got a governor and legislature who believe in public services and support working people. Will we have our differences with them? Of course we will. And when we have those differences, we let them know about it. But unfortunately, family, that is not the case in some of our states across the country. And I do want to mention this one state in particular. And we just had a special board meeting this past week to talk about the challenges that our family is going through with the attack on public services in the state of Florida. The governor introduced legislation, and his cronies in the state Senate, in the House, passed this legislation, which essentially guts the ability to represent our members in the state of Florida. And the governor will be signing this legislation next week. Now, some of you are old enough to remember what happened to us in the state of Wisconsin, the state where we were born, and a guy named Scott Walker, who was governor, and his legislature destroyed collective bargaining in that state for our proud union. They're trying to do the same thing in Florida, taking automatic dues deduction away from us, forcing us to recertify our bargaining units across the state in both state government and local government. But get this, we've got to do it every year. And before you can recertify, you've got to show that you've got 60% of members already signed up. That's an impossible task with what they've shoved down our throats. So Governor DeSantis, who everyone knows has his eyes on the White House, will be signing a bill that will go into effect sometime next week. And I'm not going to BS you. It's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt us badly. But it's not only about hurting us. It hurts our members who will no longer have that important seat at the table, who will no longer have the ability to be represented by a union to talk about wages and benefits and working conditions and pensions, all of those kinds of things. This is a plan. This is a strategy where we will see more and more of this kind of activity in states across the country. People were looking at Florida this year saying, I wonder if he's going to be able to do that. Well, he's doing it. So you better believe that in some of the states where folks don't want to see worker power, they don't want to see you have that seat at the table, they're going to do the same thing, or try to do the same thing. So we've got to be ready. And I know that some of you are saying, well, it's not going to happen to us. Because, we're here in Oregon. I am telling you right now, even if you're fortunate enough not to let this happen, not to have this happen in Oregon, an injury to one is an injury to all. An injury to one is an injury to all. And we've got to stand up and fight like hell for our members in Florida every single day, because that's who we are. We don't run from a fight, we engage in the fight. And in the end, when we fight, AFSCME wins. We've got challenges. Make no mistake about it. And during challenging moments like this one, I believe we can draw inspiration. We can actually draw inspiration from our union's history. In order to know where we're going, we've got to know where we've been and where we come from, and the sacrifices that our family has made in the past to get all of us to where we are today. This year, AFSCME is marking the 55th anniversary of the Memphis sanitation workers strike with a new podcast that once again tells this remarkable story about our past. I urge all of you, I didn't even know what a podcast was until my communications team came up and told me they wanted to do this. And they said they wanted to use this podcast, and I said, okay, what's that? But we've got this podcast going, and we've got 6 segments. We're now on segment 3, and people are listening to it. And our communications folks told us that this is one of the best listened to podcasts in this country right now because people want to connect with their history. So we're calling the podcast the I Am Story. You can listen to it on iamstory.com or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And what does it do? It recreates a story for us that all of us must relate to. It talks about 1,300 African-American sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee, who went on strike in 1968 because 2 of their co-workers were crushed in a sanitation truck. They were not being given the ability to negotiate at all. Their union was not being recognized, Local 1733 of AFSCME. They couldn't negotiate over wages and benefits and working conditions. They had been raising safety and health issues for 2 years until these members were killed on that truck. And you know the story. This is a part of our history. We can never forget this. Dr. Martin Luther King came to Memphis because he understood the importance of linking economic rights and labor rights and social justice and economic justice. He understood that all of those are one and the same. And he came to Memphis to support that strike. And the community came together. Our allies, the religious community, families. And ultimately, Dr. King gave his life in supporting that AFSCME strike. We can never, ever forget that rich history that we have. We can never, ever forget the fact that those members sacrificed blood, sweat, and tears to have a better life. And that's what this is all about. Our members having a better life for their families, serving their communities with dignity and respect. That's who we are. That's what AFSCME is all about. So, by revisiting this story, we're reminding people. And we aren't just looking backwards. The sacrifices made by AFSCME heroes of the past can light a path for us moving forward. Can light a path for all of us. The lessons they've taught us can give us hope and strength. As all of you, as all of our members across the country engage in battles. This isn't just a commemoration reflecting and thinking about what happened in Memphis in 1968. It's not just a commemoration, it is a call to action for all of us to understand that if we come together, and if we fight together, and if our voices are heard together, if we stand tall as one, we can win. We can win. You can win. A call to action to improve our jobs. A call to action to improve our workplaces, to improve our communities. A call to action to grow and strengthen our union. A call to action to secure the resources we need to do our essential work that benefits our communities across the country. A call to action to educate, to organize and mobilize every single day. If those sanitation workers did it in 1968 with some very, very extreme circumstances, then damn it, we can do it today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, can't we? That's what it's all about. Will you answer that call, Oregon AFSCME? Will you answer that call? I can't hear you. Will you answer that call? Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to make the voices heard? Are you ready to win? Let's get the job done. Thank you.